Hello, everyone's Forest Focus as Nottingham Forest continue to strengthen in the transfer market with the signing of Aston Villa left-back Alex Moreno on a season-long loan. What will he offer the Reds? What are his weaknesses? And why isn't he in the Villa team? Joining me to discuss all that is Villa fan returning to the show in Steve Farmer. Steve, good to have you with us, especially as I know you're taking some time away at the moment with the family. So, yeah, good to have you on board. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, really well, thanks, mate. No, great to be back.
Yes. Hopefully, we'll have you a couple of times more this season when we play Villa. But we're here to talk about Alex Moreno joining us on a season loan. Like I say, what do you make of the deal in general? We'll get into some specifics around the player, but what were your thoughts when he joined Forest?
I think it's a deal that works for all parties, if I'm honest. I mean, from Forest's perspective, you've got a decent player, that I fully believe that will add strength to your starting 11, squad potentially. I think, for Aston Villa, it's a good move because ultimately it's a player that we do hold in high regard. Unai Emery holds him in high regard. He's, and effectively, unfortunately, from a football club perspective, we've got three left backs, and we need to get players out, obviously, cost cutting wise in terms of the fair play. And I think also from a player's perspective, you've got somebody that's 31, had a bit of time out due to injury, he's the other side of 30, clearly, coming to his last stage of his career. And it's going to work for him because, if he stays injury free, he'll play, or you would like to think he's going to play. And I think, it shows what Unai Emery's all about, really. The fact that I think it was his first signing. So clearly he's got a lot of respect for him. He's not letting him sit and, and not play football at such a crucial stage. So I think on all fronts, for both clubs and the player, it's a bit of a no-brainer, really, for me.
Yeah, I read yesterday was Emery's first signing. So, like you say, that shows that he rates him. I mean, just talk to us a little bit about the injuries. Has that held him back? How about, are they the niggling injuries that come back? Has it been one injury? Because that could be a bit.
I think I'm sure. I think it was about 3 months that he had out, but I think it was quite a critical stage where kind of when he'd come in, he was going to be, first signing, big signing. He'd done well in Spain. And then I think he got that injury at a bad time where probably if he'd have remained fit, he probably would have played over Luca Dean. That gave Luca Dean the opportunity to come back into the side. So yeah, listen, he's not injury prone, nothing like that at all. But I think he just came at a bad time, and I think Luca Dean's got more lives than a cat, and has taken those opportunities and clearly done well. But and then obviously, I'm sure we'll go into it. Maxson comes in as well, so there's your three. So yeah, you've not somebody thinking, hold on a minute, what have we got here? Is he going to be? It's not the same reoccurring. I just think it happened, and it wasn't a great time for him, if I'm honest. Yeah, and probably kind of had a unfortunately negative impact longer term, I would say.
Yeah, Luca Dean's a funny one. I feel like he's been moving to like Saudi or the Middle East for about 4 years now, obviously with Steven Gerrard and all that kind of stuff. But when Maatsen came in, then was the writing on the wall for Moreno or Dean, or did you think Moreno would be the one to go? Probably.
It's one of them again. We from a Villa perspective, we needed to strengthen. We did. We were tied at the end of last season. We played a lot of games, so it was about which positions did we need to strengthen. And for us, we had three fullbacks that all offer something a little bit different. So for example, Luca Dean is more so that defensive minded, fullback, probably that person that's going to stay at home a little bit more so. Moreno is more the player that he's going to get forward. Potentially could play as a winger. Play one up as such. And then Maatsen, again, as we saw at the weekend, Villa fans saw, he was integral in the goal, in Duran's winning goal. So, he played a little pass inside, in there, pretty much their 6-yard box. So, so they all offer something a little bit different. But those two attacking fullbacks, clearly his intention was to bring Maatsen in and pretty much play him, you would imagine. However, I've got to say, Moreno is held in such high regard by Villa fans. He's always smiling. It must be great around the place. You've got good energy. You can clearly see that. I think he's well thought of by the other players. We've got obviously a huge Spanish contingent in the squad, but nobody spoke negatively about him leaving. Nobody said, "Oh, he had to go," or "He's let us down," or this or that. He didn't at all. I just think he's been really unfortunate that we are pretty strong in that area now, and we as I say, each player caters and offers something a little bit different. And he's 31, and like I said, I think he's got to go and play. And I think he'll do you, honestly, I think he'll do you, a great job.
Well, hopefully so. We tried to sign him about 3 times, and he chose Villa, which I don't blame him for, because we'd just come up. So yeah, I'm glad we got him in. Just in terms of his style of play, I've saw his heat map. I don't know how much you believe in those, but he plays really high. I mean, we've got a winger who cuts inside and shoots a lot. I guess is the theory that he's going to hit the byline. Is that what he does?
Yeah, he's not the type of player that's going to, 25, 30 yards out, whip a crossing, or hang a deep cross from from further up the pitch. That's not going to happen. He's very much 5-10 yard passes, kind of intricate passing. Great, fantastic on the ball, very quick. Defensively, yeah, sounds. Probably not his. Sounds ridiculous, but not probably his biggest strength as such. However, because he's more of an offensive type fullback. But yeah, I mean, my one criticism of him is, and it's only my personal preference, so what does that count for? But I would have wanted to see more balls in boxes when you've got your Ollie Watkins in there. I think 1 or 2 times it gets to that point, check back in, little 5-yard pass back. Whereas for me, it's more about balls in boxes. But so that's only my personal preference. But he's quick. He's not particularly tall, so in the air he's not aerially strong. But saying that, I think he scored a header. I think for us, last season. So scored a couple of goals, to be fair to him. So so he's again. It's. I think for me, again, it's all about what does your team want? What does the manager see in terms of how because you're not just going to sign him as a fullback and he's a stay-at-home fullback. Clearly, it's been identified that they want him to get forward. That's the way that you guys are going to play. Clearly, because I think am I right in saying Ross Wilson had kind of identified him a little while ago and said that he was the target that he'd try to get, like you say.
We've had a few sporting recruitment teams. He was identified to be the attacking left back under Steve Cooper and then Nuno, because we've got Olorena, who's really good, and we've got Nico Williams, but we haven't really got another fullback option who I think they trust. So Harry Toffolo is probably he's actually the guy who will put a ball in from 20 yards, and they try to make him hit the byline and stuff, and he's not quite quick enough and stuff like that. So I can see why they've got Moreno in. He does fit the bill. Just on his weaknesses, then what's held him back from going on to push for Spain caps, really nail his Villa place down apart from injuries? Is it a little bit of defensive weakness, a little bit of aerial weakness that's maybe stopped him being a real top class player?
Yeah, again, I think it comes down to that he's not. He's athletic because he's very quick. As I said to you, he's very good on the ball. I think it purely, like football is nowadays. I think it purely comes down to what does the manager want, what's the ethos, what's the style of play. I would say that as I said, if you're a team that wants to get fullbacks high up the pitch, he will do you a great turn. Unfortunately, he's not quite as good as what we've brought in, but we're in that position of transition where we are. We want to sustain top 4. We're in the Champions League. I would say, come back to what I said. Just I would just probably say defensively, he's clearly strong. He's playing in the Premier League, but I would say he's not. That's probably where his weaknesses to a degree, and that as I say, even from a Luca Dean perspective, you still hear me, Matt?
Yeah. Don't worry.
Sorry, mate, you froze. Yeah. So
I was just sitting still, actually.
Just check you're all right.
No, I was reading my notes. When I'll leave all this in. I could edit this out, but I'm always listening to people thinking, "What's the next question?" And I was taking my notes to see if.
Checking on you, make sure you're all right.
No, it's right. It's funny. It's a good job we've known each other for like 20 years or something. Almost 20 years. Yeah. No.
I was going to ring 999 then. So it really is, as I say, for me more so. I've spoken to a couple of Villa fans as well. You just said, well, what's your perspective on it? And they just said it is probably the defensive side, but he's not a poor defender. Of course, he's not. He's a Premier League player that, but then saying that in terms of international, unfortunately for him, he's Spanish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as we know, they're blessed. So, with an abundance of fantastic players. So, yeah, by no, it's difficult really because you can't speak. You ask me what the weaknesses are, but there aren't many really. As I say, like, you know, I'm kind of, you know, making a play on the defensive side, but listen, he's sound. You know, as I say, it really is circumstantial around what he's got in the squad at the moment. And I think for me, it is about, you know, Unai's got this guy that's 31 years of age that clearly wants to play. And as a footballer, you want to go where you want it. You want to go where where you're going to get game time. So, yeah.
Very true, very true. Quick word before we ask our final couple of questions, just for the Trent navigation. August the 31st, Forest v Wolves, straight after the final whistle is the Oasis and gig. It's free entry, obviously, and you can get all the food you want there. Pizzas, obviously, if you're watching the video, and loads of bars, so you're not queuing for long to get your beers in after we have hopefully won the game. Where do Wolves rank on your dislike scale as a Villa fan? Obviously, it's Blues, I guess, first. Where are they? Is it Wolves second?
Yeah, I kind of feel that it's more Wolves towards Villa than Villa towards Wolves, if I'm honest. We went there
We
last
had that with
season.
Leicester, yeah.
Yeah, went to Molineux last season, and we're quite up. We drew in the end. We hit the post last minute, and it's like where we were. You probably know the away end is obviously the lower tier. Then above you've got the ball. Oh mate, it was like literally, you know, there were gestures and all sorts, and I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, I live in Solihull, so I'm not a million miles, but I just don't get the animosity towards. I'm sure there's loads of Villa fans that give it back, but yeah, it's one I've never really worked out, to be fair.
Yeah, like I say, we're the same with Leicester, or Leicester to us. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. Whenever we have someone on, when we sign someone or we're going to sign someone, I always ask the same questions. It's like I say, it's a good barometer. I think if I'd said to you like 3 weeks ago before this all happened, Alex Moreno's leaving, he's joining a Premier League club, what kind of clubs would have entered your mind as good fits for the player and the quality of the player as well?
I would say, for me, it's kind of that group that are trying to break into. I mean, in terms of giving you names of clubs, I'd have probably said that you guys, having watched you play a couple of times last season, I thought would have been a good fit. I think he needs to come into the type of team that isn't going to be struggling, you know, in the respect of kind of a newly promoted team. I think he's going to be, you know, ideal for that team that's breaking into that kind of top 8, you know, kind of that 14th to 8th type position, I would say. I mean, listen, if he'd have remained at Villa, I fully think he would have featured at some point. You know, it would have taken an injury, it would have taken a serious loss of form. So again, you know, you've got somebody that I'm hoping for, you know, for you guys will start the vast majority of the games this season. I don't think he would have benefited from joining a team that's going to struggle, you know, throughout the season at all. I think again, if you're going on a run where you are winning and you know you do relatively well, I think you'll have a confident player that will, you know, that will certainly benefit you. He'd have to come in, like I said, he has to come into a team that's going to play fullbacks getting forward. You know, else you're not, you know, you're not playing to his strengths really. As I say, you might expose that slight weakness that we spoke about. But by the sounds of it, that this is the way that you guys want to play anyway. So that definitely suits him.
Yeah, it's the way we want to play. We did it first half on Saturday against Bournemouth, and second half we didn't. We retreated, and it cost us. So yeah, I hope this is a good sign for us and for the player. I mean, just on lastly for the player, do you think the way you've spoken, how he's held in high regard at Villa, do you think his Villa career is over? Because obviously he's on loan for us. Do you think we could keep him beyond this season, or is this just an arrangement where he goes back in a year?
I think you could keep him, if I'm honest. I think, you know, you see how we've operated at the moment, you know, in terms of the transfer loan market. Those have gone out, those have come back, but when they've come back, i.e. Cameron Archer been sold, you know, there's been a few that we've signed as part of deals like with Douglas Luiz that will, you know, again, I think they'll end up going out on loan. So,
yeah.
But unfortunately, you know the score. It's not like we've got a player that's had a long-term injury that we need to go out and get games. And he'll come back and he'll definitely feature. We've got a player that is fit, you know, but unfortunately has gone out because he's not going to get in the starting 11. I think, you know, for me, shame, but the writing is on the wall that, you know, again, the best case scenario for everybody, he goes to Forest, he does incredibly well for him, for you, and eventually he moves on and, you know, and he's had a decent career. That's the ideal. But I go back to what I say, that, you know, somebody for like Unai Emery that must have so much respect for him, because it would be easy to have players sitting around. I mean, blimey, you look at Chelsea, I know it's a different kettle of fish, but, you know, what does it actually achieve? Nothing, is it? You know, so the fact if he can go and, I mean, ideally, we wouldn't have wanted to go to somebody who's going to be pushing us for, you know, top 4, top 5 places as such, you know, and that's no disrespect to Forest. You're on your own journey, you know. So I think the fact that, and it's probably, you know, logistically not too far for him either, is it? You know, so it kind of works for. I think the rumor was he wanted to go back to Spain. I was trying to work out is Nottingham any nearer to. I know you got East Midlands Airport, but you know, yeah. So I was a bit confused by that one in all honesty, but yeah.
What did you, going off on a tangent quickly, last question, what did you make of all the funky FFP stuff? Because we dabbled with it. We sold a couple of players to Lyon. I don't think we actually manipulated the market. I just think they overpaid for a few, but it sorted us out. You sold Douglas Luiz to Juventus. Did you get 2 players in exchange? And are they players that probably, are they ever going to play for you then?
No, that's what I'm saying. The word on the street at the moment is that they'll probably both go, or certainly one will go out on loan. We signed the boy from Everton, who's then gone out on loan all season. So I would not confess to understand the ins and outs of the whole system, partly because I've got no interest in it, if I'm honest, you know, because it's just, you know, what's gone on historically with other clubs and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's just, for me, I'm a football person. I enjoy the football, you know, I'll leave that to Monchi and all the rest of them that are far, far cleverer than me. But, you know, they've clearly made some good, you know, I think we've made, you know, from a Villa perspective, made some good acquisitions. I think Onana's going to be, you know, some player. We saw that at the weekend, and he provides us with what we haven't had previously. You know, that real presence, you know, and we can see that from set plays as well. But yeah, I think we've done some good dealings. I think, but it's all about the economics. You know, I don't think they're always football decisions, are they? Clearly, else, no. You know, we're bringing players in that we want to play. Why we're bringing players in that we're now sending straight back out on loan? You know, that's. Whether we work the system cleverly or not, or what, we'll find out. I'm sure something will turn up halfway through the season, or 3 games to go, where they want to start taking points off people.
Oh man, yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
You don't need me to tell. Yeah, that's it. No,
no. I do like that Onana signing. I think that actually helps us to a very small degree, because it makes Everton a lot weaker, because he's a good player. So yeah, I think Villa have done some good business there. Right, we shall leave it there. If you have enjoyed this, do us a favour as ever and hit like on the video. Do subscribe, become a channel member, leave us a lovely review on iTunes, and we'll be back tomorrow with the Southampton post-match show, and then it's all systems go for the next week with the transfer window. I think this is our 10th show of the week in 5 or 6 days. So yeah, it's been busy, and it'll be like that again next week. Steve, like I say, hopefully we'll have you on again twice more this season when we play Villa. But thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, all the best for the season, guys. Yeah, goes to yourself and all the fans out there, Matt. Yeah, hope you have a good one.
Hopefully so, and to Villa as well. Right, hopefully we will see you tomorrow, but if not, we shall see you soon.